Hey guys, this is Comic Uno, and today I'm doing Comic Uno's Best Comics of the Week, also episode 300 of this show. So let's get started. I have 10 books for this week, and number 10, sadly, but I will say this is better than last week's issue, and that is Power of X issue 1. Like I said, I actually enjoyed this one a little bit more. I didn't hate any books this week. It just ended up being a lower pick because there were better books out for me personally. But I actually really liked the intro with Professor X and Mora. I felt like that was very character driven. I'm like, okay, cool, this is gonna be the character driven story. House of X will just be all the exposition, and then as you read more, that's not the case. This is still an exposition book, and that's what pulls me out of this series and Hickman's writing in general. It's less character-driven, more, okay, let's explain this really complicated world to you, and, you know, you gotta try to understand it after all this information's thrown at you. And for me, that's just not the type of writing I like, so, especially with the X-Men, I do like some character-driven stories a bit more. I want to feel for them, and I'm just not feeling for them here, or feeling for the overall arc. Will I continue to read it? Yes, I want to see where this goes and at least get into the new launch of the X-Men titles to pick which ones I want to stick with, but just haven't been really impressed with the Hickman stuff. I know I am the minority on that. I know a lot of people have been enjoying it, but it's just not my style of storytelling. But I did think the artwork was a big improvement for this book, and I actually liked the artwork from the previous book, but really some gorgeous stuff here. I like the character designs a lot, especially for the Rasputin character, and I'm excited to see where she'll go and what's up with her character. We did learn a little bit more about those newer characters. So yeah, overall giving this 2.5 stars, and that is number 10. Alright, moving on to number 9. And number 9 for me is Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man issue 9. I did get a cool Carnage Eyes variant cover for Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. But overall, this honestly has been somewhat of a lackluster series, and I really love Tom Taylor's writing. But I just don't know if there's a lot of ground to walk on for this series. It focuses a little bit too much on the friendly neighborhood aspect, and I'm just not really feeling attached to the arcs and the newer characters. So like Rumour, they explain her story a little bit more, and even though I really enjoyed her story, character-wise, I just can't get into her. So yeah, overall, just haven't been really liking this series as much as I want to. Even the artwork is kind of sketchy for me. Don't really love the coloring either. So, yeah, overall I gave this 2.5 stars. I'm going to stick with it for another arc or two to see where it goes, but if not, I might be dropping this one soon. So that's number 9. Moving on to number 8, which is Marvel Team Up issue 4, which is actually a 3.5 star book. So I really enjoyed my books this week overall, like I said. The only thing I kind of disliked about this one was the artwork. I thought that some of the facial expressions were a bit too expressive at times. Actually, that page looked pretty good. Like over here, I didn't really love the artwork. And the coloring seems a bit damp to me, even though overall I do like the style of the coloring, if that makes sense. But yeah, I like this issue because we're getting to see Carol and Kamala team up. And honestly, we don't get to see this that often, even though they are characters that are very connected to each other. It feels rare to see these two characters team up. I feel like it's only been every once in a while. The last time we've seen them interact was Civil War II, and that was a while ago. Even though it was a really good arc where we got to see them interact. Maybe a little bit after, because they did forgive each other. So I think there's like issues after we did get to see them talk to each other, but not an epic team up like that. So this is a whole entire arc of them teaming up, and I don't know if this is going to be other Marvel characters besides Miss Marvel, but as a Miss Marvel fan, I'm okay with it being Miss Marvel teaming up with other characters. But I have a feeling after the Captain Mar-vell, Kamala team up, we'll get different Marvel characters teaming up. We'll see. And that's the hardship about these team up books. Obviously, people are just going to pick up the characters they like. They don't have to read every issue, and that's obviously going to be kind of shaky for sale, so we'll see how long this series actually lasts. But yeah, going into the issue, this issue we do get to see Kamala dealing with the aftermath of issue 5, actually, of her parents not knowing she's Miss Marvel, and how that's affecting her superhero life and affecting having to help Carol. And my favorite scene being Carol actually going to their house and saying, hey, it's an internship. So a very MCU Spider-Man / Tony type storyline. So they could fight this kind of Kree mission. And in the end, we'll see where this goes. We do get to see Captain Mar-vell, so it's actually a huge Captain Marvel team up. So how the hell is he here, and why is he super old? Like, he's supposed to be dead. So, curious to see where that's gonna go. But yeah, overall I gave this 3.5 stars. Not bad, and want to see where the story goes. So moving on to number 7. Number 7 for me is, Number 7. Is Sabrina the Teenage Witch issue 4. Another fun series. I really enjoyed this one. It's one of the few Archie books I'm keeping up with. Well, actually, I'm keeping up with a few. So I'm getting Jughead, the Time Police, Vampironica, and Jughead, and Sabrina. I'm just not picking up the main Archie title. And I don't think I'm going to get the Married one because I didn't really follow that when that came out. But, yeah, Sabrina is a fun book, and we get to see her stuck in a bit of a love triangle in this issue, which is a lot of fun, but also Sabrina having to deal with the actual magic that her aunts are going up against and trying to help her aunts, even though her aunts aren't there. So Sabrina kind of sneaking around trying to help them out, and she even has an epic costume change here. So the art was really cool. I love the way they utilized the magic here. But yeah, overall it's a fun issue. I don't know if it's as good as the other ones because I do feel like there were some more shocking moments in the other issues, like where we find out about her fellow students being part of this magical world, her kissing another guy who's not Harvey. So I like those issues a little bit more, but we do get to see the aftermath of many of those things in this issue. So still a lot of fun, and overall really liking Thompson's voice on Sabrina and getting something other than her dating Archie and just having an actual Sabrina story is nice. So yeah, overall giving this 3.5 stars, and that is number 7. Moving on to number 6, which is Glow, issue 4, which I think is the last issue of this miniseries, which sucks. I thought it was an ongoing book, but we are getting closer to the Glow show actually airing, so we'll get to see more Glow very soon. I think it's August at some point the next season airs. So this is just a really fun book. If you enjoy Glow the TV show, pick it up. I love the cartoony nature of the book. There's some really good jokes in there, but also some good character development as our heroes, our wrestling team actually goes up against a real wrestling team, and what that dynamic is like as an actor and as a real wrestler. So yeah, I thought that was fun, and yeah, if you're looking for a fun time, like I said, it's a solid book. So Glow issue 4 gets 4 stars, and that is number 6. Moving on to number 5, which is 5 Years, issue 3. If you've read all Terry Moore's stuff, I think you're going to really enjoy this. And with this issue, finally, we focus on Echo. So that's the character I feel like who's gotten the least love out of the Strangers in Paradise, XXV, and now this series, we're finally getting her and what she's been up to. And obviously she's a big key to what's going on in 5 years, which is that the world's going to end. My only nitpick is that I'm curious the motivation of the dictators and leaders that don't care that they're going to die. Do they have an escape plan to go somewhere else? Like, that motivation still kind of feels weird to me, and that's like the overall story of this comic. So I'm hoping that kind of makes sense, and, you know, I guess we find out why they don't care that they're gonna die, and that everyone's gonna die. But yeah, overall I did like our characters though. There's a nice Tambi and Kachu scene, which was hysterical. And to see more Tambi kind of being a lead here was good, and that her plans are all falling apart. Rachel's back, don't worry, she rose from the dead from last issue. And as you can see, I would say all the franchises get a little love. I guess besides Motor Girl, but she got some panel time, I believe last issue, and definitely issue 1, she got some panel time. So I think they fit in a lot of the franchises in this issue for a really solid book. So 5 Years issue 3 gets 4 stars, and that's number 5. Moving on to number 4, and that is Runaways issue 23. One of my favorite series, as you guys know. Pretty solid book. It's a little bit of a slower issue for plot, as Dr. Doom or Doombot fights with Victor in their heads going on. That was actually probably the part I like the least. I like everything else surrounding it, even though I like that Victor is, fighting for himself and kind of discovering himself as Dr. Doom or, Doombot is dealing with this stuff. So I enjoyed their friendship, but, the change of art was a little weird in that one. And like I said, I like the revolving stuff of Gert and Chase finally dealing with their feelings and everything that's been going on, and them breaking up without saying that they broke up, and then Karolina in this loopy dream of being a superhero, and Nico easily finding out, which was from Allison, Dazzler, which was cool, and obviously a good reference to A-Force. Nico being the supporting girlfriend saying, okay, let's do this. So we'll see where that ends up going, and how the couple will become superheroes. So that was a lot of fun. But yeah, overall, really solid issue, but it just kind of felt like a point A to point B issue at the same time. So Runaways issue 23 gets 4 stars, and that is number 4. Moving on to number 3, which is Fantastic Four, issue 12. I'm going to talk a lot about the backstory because that's what I was most excited for. And I also got the Carnage cover for that. So I'm going to talk about the backstory first, and then I'll talk about the main story. But I was really excited for Future Foundation, and am really excited for Future Foundation for next week. Because I'm a huge Power Pack fan. I'm a huge Julie Power fan, so I was really happy to see her get the spotlight here, where Julie is actually depressed. She finds out that Nico and Karolina are dating, and that kind of wrecks her. And what I love is that they're really dissecting into a character who always was perfect, that she was the perfect big sister, and we get to see Alex and Julie both need each other and both lean on each other and show the power of that family and their friendship / love for each other. And I really enjoyed that. And I love the little back and forth they had where Julie's transported into space without a bra. Julie keep making fun of Alex's beard, and honestly, it's been years since they've seen each other, so we get to see how they've changed as well. That, yes, they can revert back to what their relationship was, but they're growing up, and, Julie kind of spits out everything that's been going on. He didn't even know that she was dating a girl, because, again, they hadn't talked to each other, and, yeah, her actually dealing with these feelings that she has, and her using the Future Foundation as an outlet. So I'm really excited for that, and, again, just see how that friendship / family dynamic grows as issues go on. So I love that story, and I can't wait for the next issue next week. So that's gonna be cool. And then moving on to the Fantastic Four issue, which was really good as well. So we get to see The Thing and Alicia go finally on their honeymoon, and we get to see the Immortal Hulk being controlled by Puppet Master fighting the Thing. And there's a lot of cute moments in between there. Well, first of all, I just like the Puppet Master stuff. I loved Alicia and Ben here, where Alicia does the reverse engagement, where yes, they're married, but she wants to be engaged to not just the Thing, but to Ben as well, and to show her love for both of them. And I love that. I love that scene so much. So there's a lot of good stuff here. I really like the artwork as well. Only nitpick being that they get ended a little abruptly. I mean, the cliffhanger is literally, alright, Thing saying, let's fight to the Hulk, even though they kind of been fighting. But I love Ben's little sarcastic comments to Hulk, where Hulk says, Hulk smash, and saying, oh, I've never said that before, and Ben being so confused, saying, that's all you ever say. So there's a lot of good jokes in this issue as well. So I had a lot of fun with both the backstory, which I was, really looking forward to as a Power Pack / Julie fan, and then even the Fantastic Four story, which I've overall been really enjoying as well. I've been really liking this series, and I think this is some Dan Slott's best work in a while. So, yeah, Fantastic Four issue 12 gets 4.5 stars, and that is number 3. Moving on to number 2, which is actually Angel, issue 3. There's a lot of cool surprises in this issue that connects more to the TV show, where, yeah, they're dealing with the social media kind of villain going on, which I've actually really enjoyed the way they've been tackling that. But we also get to see a character that I honestly didn't expect, and that's Fred. So the person that was in the mental hospital was Fred. And then even Lilith kind of telling the future of what's going to happen with Angel and Buffy. You get to see Gunn there, so it's cool to see all these connections, and a really cool peek of what's going to happen next. So yeah, I just loved all the callbacks, but how fresh it still felt. So really good issue. I thought there was a lot of good surprises in this one. So 4.5 stars for me, and that is number 2. Alright, so number 1 is Paper Girls, and sorry for the little cut in between. But yeah, this issue obviously is a big one for me. I am a huge Paper Girls fan. Is one of my favorite series of all time. And with this issue, we get to see them tackling one of the biggest subjects of the title, which is that you have to grow up. And what's so interesting when you first look at the first issue of Paper Girls, you think, okay, this is going to be a nostalgic trip. It's about the 80s. We're getting to see video game references and all that fun jazz. But really it's about, hey, we delivered this nostalgia to you to say, grow up. You can't always rely on nostalgia. And it's kind of just the perfect coming-of-age message, because it is that in-between of being a kid and being an adult, and I felt like this issue did a perfect job at that. But in some ways, it's kind of nostalgic as well, because this whole issue is about the moments after them traveling. What would have happened in real time if they didn't remember what actually happened, with their time travel adventures. So they do have dreams though about it, which was interesting because dreams have played a big part in this book. So you have like KJ having her bat mitzvah and saying, "Hey Mac, I love you," and then also that was the big one because that was the beginning dream. We also get to see. Actually, I think that was the biggest dream was the KJ one. But I think everyone else wakes up pretty much saying, oh yeah, like, we gotta stick together. That was kind of the point. They somewhat remember what happened, maybe a word or two, but obviously the adventures they did forget. But the big challenge for them had always been, are they going to stick together? Because like any childhood friend, sometimes you lose touch and you're just like, it's not like you had a fight. It's just you grow up, you grow apart. And I love the moment in the end where you think, okay, that's what childhood is. Everyone's going to go their separate ways and they're going to forget about all this. But then it's Mac showing that she's grown as a character saying, hey, let's hang out. And maybe that's the spark of they will be friends forever, or, friends as adults, which, actually makes me sad that we don't get to see an epilogue. Like, I did wish that we get to see what they are in the future, but maybe that's what's so poignant about this series is that we shouldn't know. We shouldn't know how they grow up. I think we don't live in the present, where with technology we all want to know what's happening in the future and not live our own lives. And then with nostalgia, we keep wanting to go back to our childhood and that comfort that we kind of make up in our mind. And I think that's the point, is that let's live in the present, and sometimes you won't know the future. So I really like that. And I think a big part of what I enjoyed about this issue is just the growth of all the characters and even the resemblance and parallels from that first issue. So we get to see Mac on the bicycle where she says the homophobic slur, and then she changes it because obviously she knows that she's queer herself, and she's dealing with that obviously differently now that she's grown as a character. Same as Tiffany, where Tiffany, all she wanted to do was play that video game, and she shuts it off. After she's finally at that final level, she's like, who cares? And KJ, same thing, obviously dealing with her sexuality as well. And then, last but not least, is Erin. Her big hurdle was that she didn't really have any friends by the end of her arc. If you look at the first time they jumped, it was her alone as a 40-year-old woman, and the one thing that she said is that, please try staying friends. And that's what Erin does. So it shows that these adventures did help them grow as people. And I think growing up in general helps you figure out who you are and figure out your identity, and you never stop learning who you are and learning about your relationships with people. So yeah, what I love about this issue is that maybe it wasn't the perfect thing where I'm like, okay, I want to see everyone's future, this is the perfect happy ending, because it's not. You don't really know what's going to happen, but I like that it's a book that you could keep analyzing and keep going back to, and that's what I've always appreciated about Paper Girls, is that you could kind of get your own narrative from it with every issue and every reread. I know I've definitely appreciated the issues even more after third or fourth readings, so I'm really excited to go from issue 1 to issue 30 and see what type of story I'll get from it. So, and also it's interesting that we don't have a letter page in the end either. Really just no thoughts from the author, and you kind of make your own conclusion here. So I think that's interesting, again, in a world of technology where all we do is tell our thoughts and everything, and we all need closure. So it's kind of nice where you kind of leave it up to the reader of how they felt about the story. So I thought that was really nice. So yeah, let me know in the comments below what you thought of all the books this week. This is Comic Uno. Definitely go check out my comics like Father Like Daughter and They Call Her the Dancer. Also, every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Time is Frontline Live, where we discuss our favorite comics and comic book news. So be sure to check that out as well. Thanks, guys. Bye.